An attempt by migrants to cross the Channel from France has resulted in tragedy after 2 adults and 2 children died when the boat carrying them sank. French officials say that 15 others have been taken to hospital. Boris Johnson said his thoughts were with the victims' families and he vowed to crack down on the criminal networks behind such perilous journeys. A large search and rescue operation began earlier after the vessel was seen in difficulty near Dunkirk. More than 7,400 migrants have reached the UK in small boats this year. That's a significant rise from 2019, when 1,825 successfully crossed. Well, our correspondent Nick Beake is in Dunkirk for us tonight. Nick.
Good evening, Rita. Yes, the search operation went on for most of the day, but as you can see, there is now an eerie silence in the port of Dunkirk. The water is still, as you'd imagine, but earlier this morning, 2 miles out to sea, it was very different. The conditions were said to be treacherous, but yet a group of up to 20 migrants embarked on a journey towards the United Kingdom. As we know, some were plucked to safety, others did not survive, and this is said to be the deadliest day for attempted crossings so far this year, and has prompted the Prime Minister tonight to vow to crack down on the criminal gangs behind these crossings. The search for a better life in Britain ended in this corner of France this morning. Of all the days to attempt the perilous crossing, this was not the one. Rough waters, high winds. Rescue teams had responded after a small migrant boat was spotted in trouble. 2 adults and a 5-year-old and an 8-year-old, all from Iran, could not be saved.
At this stage, the appraisal of the situation isn't yet complete. We think there are 19 to 20 people, and there is 1 person missing who possibly could be an infant. We're still trying to firm up the details with the help of an interpreter. There are people who were scared to push too far, but who are able to talk to us.
Earlier this year, the scale of this problem became vividly clear. The desperation of those clinging to life. The British Navy has been patrolling these waters as part of the fight against what Boris Johnson tonight called the ruthless criminal gangs exploiting vulnerable people. Officials say they've stopped 650 crossings in the past week alone.
Well, there have been crossings in the winter months every year since this phenomenon started in 2018, but clearly the numbers have been extremely high this year and unacceptably high. That's been driven by a number of factors, including COVID and the switch in travel patterns. And we're responding to that with the French to reduce the number of crossings and end the viability of this route.
The migrant boats seized in British ports tell their own story, but the government has said France needs to do much more to halt the crossings. The Home Secretary says she wants the route to the UK to be unviable, a stance which has been praised and criticised.
None of the people here want to get in boats, and they certainly do not want to put their children through these risks. If they had an alternative, I am sure they would take it. What we need is to give them an alternative that they can take. It's absolutely not right. These are ordinary people. These children are just like other children. They play, they laugh, they don't want to get in boats.
As local French hospitals care for those people who were plucked from the water today, investigators continue their work. The people smugglers of Calais and Dunkirk are said to have warned migrants living nearby that tougher British action is imminent. And that may force the hand of those who feel they have nothing to lose. Nick Beake, BBC News, Dunkirk.
Our home editor Mark Easton is here with me. Mark, this is a question that's asked repeatedly, but what drives people to take risks like this?
Why indeed? Why would migrants put their small children and themselves into a tiny boat to cross the Channel in rough seas just to get to Britain? And the short answer, I suppose, is that the only place you can claim asylum from the British state is in Britain. If you want to join family who are already here or seek the security of life in the UK, you have to somehow get onto our island. And that means smuggling yourself in, almost certainly using criminal gangs to help you achieve it. Because if you're coming from Iran, for example, there really is no other way. Now, for the Home Secretary and the government, this tragedy illustrates why Britain needs to make that dangerous route across the Channel, in their words, unviable. Stop the boats, send people straight back as soon as they arrive, send them back to their homeland, in the hope that that deters people from attempting the journey in the first place. But, you know, last year a committee of MPs warned the government that a policy that focuses exclusively on closing borders will drive migrants to take more dangerous routes and push them into the hands of the criminal groups. And they urged ministers to expand safe and legal routes for asylum seekers. And interestingly, some French politicians have gone further, saying that the British government lacks even an ounce of humanity by not allowing people to claim asylum from outside the UK. Our thoughts tonight will, of course, be for those children, those little children whose young lives were cut short by this awful tragedy. But soon the focus, I think, will shift onto how we can end this murderous trade in human cargo.
Mark, thank you. Mark Easton there.